At Empire Mine, the crew sets out their train and picks up 110 loaded cars. At 9,900 tons, this train sometimes requires all the Alco's horsepower for the upgrades. Most of the return trip, however, will be in dynamics to hold the train to the 30-mile-an-hour restriction for loaded ore cars. At Little Lake, the crew stops to eat at the American Legion post. If they aren't meeting an empty train, they'll cut off the power and run it up to the post on the siding. The Northwestern's Lakeshore Division is mostly dark railroad. The semaphores at Duck Creek, just west of Green Bay, are the last signals you'll see before the LS&I joint trackage at Partridge Junction. Train movements were controlled by train order until 1986, when a direct traffic control system, or DTC, was installed. With DTC, the railroad is divided into blocks, and the dispatcher authorizes a train by radio to occupy certain blocks. After passing through those blocks, the engineer or conductor releases the blocks back to the dispatcher. DTC offers more flexibility in controlling the movement of trains in non-CTC territory. It's usually an 11-hour day by the time they bring the loads back to the ore dock. For the road crew, their day is over. Hostlers will bring the power back to the house. Rather than using a traditional ore dock, the Northwestern has a relatively modern ore transfer facility at Escanaba. The yard job, generally a pair of C628s, will feed a cut of cars to the rotary dumper. The dumper uses a winch to pull the cars through and empty them 3 at a time. From there, a conveyor belt delivers the pellets to the boat or to the massive stockpile next to the yard. Empty cars return to the yard to start the cycle anew. The C628s were once serviced at the Escanaba Roundhouse. However, it was closed in 1984. 2 years later, the house painted a lonely picture with all the tracks near it gone. It was replaced by a new facility inside the Harnischfeger crane factory on the west side of town. Historically, the steel industry has ridden an economic roller coaster, and the ore-hauling railroads, of course, have no choice but to go along for the ride. In the early 1980s, Escanaba dispatched 5 or 6 turns a day to Empire Mine, but by 1986, that was down to 2 or 3 a day. That wasn't enough to keep 25 Alcos busy, and locomotives tend to deteriorate rapidly when put into long-term storage. The Northwestern solved this problem by putting the 6700s in rotating storage. Although this looks like a deadline, none of these units will stay inside the Harnischfeger plant for long. Soon they will be out on the road again, and the storage line will be full of other C628s. The C628s were not restricted to ore service. They also powered trains between Escanaba and Green Bay, where all heavy maintenance on the Northwestern Alcos was performed. The Antoine job, which connected with these trains at Powers, usually rated 2 of the Northwestern's 4 Alco C425s. After they were retired in 1986, the usual power was a GP7 and a C628. Even on the Green Bay trains, 2 builder lash-ups were not uncommon. The C628s could and did get loose on occasion. During November and December of 1985, they ran regularly between Green Bay and Proviso, the Northwestern's major Chicago yard. But experienced Northwestern watchers know you can't turn your back on this road. You learn to expect the unexpected from the Midwest's most unpredictable railroad.